Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't mind my coffee here. We're just Saturday morning in full effect. And we are here today to talk about authenticity. And a few moments ago, we were actually talking about eating donuts, and that's what our authentic selves needed. And we thought, let's pull this into the conversation. Let's bring all of you guys along with us as we kind of talk about our previous week. So, Laura, continue, please.
Yes. Avid Top Pot fan, major shout out. So
No, hashtag robot fan.
they are featuring an orange, like citrus donut this week. And yeah, it was a must have. Like, I love citrus. And so took my happy ass to Top Pot this morning and it was glorious. Glorious.
Yes, I love. I used to never eat donuts, and then when I was pregnant, I ate donuts every other day. I think for a period, I ate cake or donut every day. Was
Yeah.
could also be a why I gained 70 pounds. I don't care. I enjoyed every single second of it. But I was eating a lot of donuts during that time. And if you get a good variety of different flavors, it is delicious. And I was always a fan.
Okay, what is maybe your favorite flavor of cake? Because you just hit my like love language is baked goods. I just need to know what is your favorite cake?
My favorite cake. I was gonna say my favorite cake while I was pregnant was lemon cake, but I love
Oh,
anything citrus when I was pregnant.
yes.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I would say now, oh, it depends on my mood. I also get different coffee every time. I'm one of those people like I like use as a mindfulness exercise. I'm like, what do I what would taste good today? And that's how I pick it out. But I would say I still love lemon cake with like a nice like I like it. What's the buttercream? Any kind of buttercream frosting? Yes. Bro, slather that shit on there, and I am a happy camper. But if it's a citrus like buttercream, if you did like a really moist like strawberry cake with like a really rich buttercream on top, and like heaven, heaven sounds delicious. I could make up a ton of different concoctions in my mind, to be honest, and I would be probably very pleased with any of them.
Okay, like you're speaking my language. Yeah, the citrus, so good, so good. Farrah, I just had lemon cake pops made for my birthday.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
with unicorn decorations all over them. And they were so good. Like the lemon cake flavor was so delicious. I had to made them local here in Reston. My Mimi's gourmet cake pops are so good. Oh my God. I can't wait to have more of them because like the right flavor of lemon is just, yeah, is hard to beat. Sometimes people like really underplay, right? Like they just like it's a whisper of lemon. It's like, nah, I need it. I want to be hit in the face with lemon.
Yeah, I want to feel like tart. I want to feel like a slight tartness because it counters the sweetness of the cake. So I think it complements each other really nicely. I think that's anything of like tart, like fruity kind of cake. I'm here for it. Like, and you don't always see that because it's usually like vanilla or chocolate, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, those are great. And a classic vanilla. I'm not a vanilla bean when you can like actually taste the like vanilla and like the little
Yeah.
bit of cinnamon in there. Yeah, there. I like food, as you might imagine.
Yes.
It's like I was just hanging out with a friend last night, and I was talking about how much I loved food, and they're like, "Really? Do you like really like food?" I was like, "Oh no, it's like it's a little bit of an obsession. I think about it all day long." And
Huh?
like a very healthy, like I'm not like sorry, that sounds like I have an eating disorder. Sorry, that's where I felt like that was going. But and we all have our own struggles, and probably let's talk about while being authentic, I probably
Yeah.
did when I was a certain extent. I've always had very much an image of how my body should look, and so that was always kind of a little bit of a struggle for me growing up, was to not restrain myself from eating food. Because I know a lot of girls that have like a handful of nuts, and they're like, and I'm satisfied, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna need a steak, potatoes, maybe some steam, like some roasted vegetables there on the side, and like I'm never going to not eat those things. And I believe that if I if I start like kind of restricting myself from that, then I'm not giving myself the opportunity to really enjoy life. And I recognize food is a part of my life, and it's one of the things that makes me the happiest. And so I just like should savor those moments, but making it mindful, obviously being conscious of how much I eat and when I eat, and really letting it be kind of more of a a mindfulness practice in like picking and selecting my food choices. They call it intuitive eating. And once I got into it, I just like, now it's like how I live my life. So it's like, what am I in the mood for? What do I want to have? Is it going to satisfy me? And then I go from there. And you know, some days I want a salad. I want a green juice, and I want something that's like full of kale. And then other days I want some fucking lemon cake, okay? And then other days I want that. And I give myself all of the things. So, a little bit of a tangent, but what else are we doing here? This is our opportunity to talk.
All right, we're talking about authenticity today. So yeah, like we're being our authentic selves. We like to eat. And
Well, women like to eat.
Yes. Let's not pretend we don't eat.
I know. Did you ever watch Marvelous? I will not digress. But did you ever watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Yes. Freaking love that show.
I'm so happy you like it. I don't really watch much TV, and someone told me to watch it, and I was like, you know, I don't watch TV. Is this something that I'm going to actually enjoy? And they were like, I was like, so I'll sit down and I'll watch a couple episodes. And Rose, my best friend, she was like, you'll love it. I know you'll like it. I was like, okay. And it's like, she's like, it's progressive. It's been in the 50s. Like, it brings a historical context. Like, it's all the things. And the lady's a comedian, and it's fucking hilarious. I was like, okay, cool. Watched it, fell in love, binged like all of the seasons within like a weekend or something like that. Every time like Bella would go to bed, I'd like, first thing I did was like turn on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But she talks a lot about how women don't eat in it, and it's such a thing. And I was like, I'm so happy that they're like speaking to this in the show, because like, what was it? Who's the older woman that's like the comedian that was like the that was gonna be the death of her, and she was trying to bring her down, and she's this famous. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. She's in Glee. She was in 40-Year-Old Virgin. Yeah. I don't remember her name, but yeah, she's.
But remember, she used to just like, she just sucked on like she like brought her over, and she sucked on a lemon and was like, and I'm done. And she like sets it down, and then Midge was like, she was at fucking 8, and she was like freaking out. And I was like, thank you. That's how I feel when people don't eat around me, and I'm like, you can eat some food. Like, I'm gonna order something. Like, I'm gonna probably have a burger. So like, if you wanted to eat, you're more than welcome. Like, you don't gotta get the salmon. You can get something else if you wanted to. But you know, some days that's what you want. But I think doing it because you want to eat it versus like counting calories. And like, I know some people that count calories too. Like, I think there's a lot of emphasis around the female body and being able to acquire a certain shape, and that's what is based off your worth. You know, I've talked to clients about that sometimes. So I just think that there's a lot of mixed signals out there, and I'm all for eat what you want, love your body in every form, because it's fucking beautiful, and that's what matters most. And,
All right.
And I will get off my soapbox now. Anywho, authenticity. Laura, what's the definition of authenticity?
So it's being authentic.
Did you just fart? No, sure.
I mouth farted. I at myself. So yeah. So I love to Google things, right?
Yes.
Like I am a researcher. I like to pull up definitions. I want to get into it before, so Google can tell me what everything is. But like legit, I wrote in what is authenticity, and it was being authentic. Like, that's not helpful. Okay. So then I hit authentic, and then I was like, authentic Mexican food. Back to food.
Yeah. Oh God. You love me some tacos and enchiladas. Sorry, just keep going.
Yes. But you know that? Yeah, food. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different definitions, of course, but let's go to our homegirl, Brené Brown, because, her quotes are just, the best. The best.
Yes. Yeah.
So authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be, and instead embracing who we are.
I love that. Brené always comes in with the heat. Isn't that so true? I remember back in yoga teacher, I went through yoga teacher training, and I remember this quote. It's changed my life, and I'll never forget it. I used to repeat it all the time to myself. It was like letting go of the preconceived notions of, like, becoming who you are is letting go of the preconceived notions of who you think you should be, and who others think that you are.
Mhm.
And like kind of removing the roles and kind of like expectations that people place on you, and also those expectations that you place on yourself. And I think that that ties together in order to like, it's really liberating to think of what life is like without those, right? Because it's like, oh, well, then if I don't have to be anything, then who am I? And then you can be your true, authentic self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. Thank you for looking that up. And also, thank you, Brene Brown, for all the work that you do out in the community. Oh, I know. So wait, how did you really find authenticity? Or like what would you feel like your journey has been in order to kind of embody that?
I think it's an ongoing journey. I think it's an every day, every second type of journey and practice. So, for me, why I was really drawn to that quote was correlating work I learned from Martha Beck of like social self versus essential self,
Mm.
and also paying attention to whose thought is it. So when you're in the moment and you're placing judgments or you're evaluating things and you have a lot of shoulds or coulds, really aligning with like, is that me or is that who I'm supposed to be? So yeah, again, like letting go of who you're supposed to be and rejecting the shoulds and coulds to listen to yourself and getting to choose who that is and what feels good for you. And so, I think it's a struggle every single day in making decisions and establishing your life and as you navigate place, friendships, romantic relationships, how you identify, as a girlfriend, a wife, a boss, a peer, coworker,
Mhm.
friend, daughter, mother, all these things. Like, who are you? Getting rid of the shoulds.
Mhm.
Um, and again, like just kind of grounding yourself and
Yeah.
um,
Stripping
you know,
away all of those roles, like who's the core of who you are, when we get to that soul level, and how do you express that in the truest way into the world without letting it get distorted? And that's difficult. It really is.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think, wanting to make that change and wanting to commit to being present in your essential self
Hmm.
is a mindfulness practice. It is something that you have to just continually remind yourself of, like, oh, I'm not going to get wrapped up in the shoulda coulda wouldas. I'm going to like be present, be focused, and feel your body compass too. Feel your intuition, feel who you want to be. And it's really hard because there's so many pressures out there from, social media, from society, from your family, from everyone, that you be this person that they want you to be and continue to serve in roles that, best benefit other people or the systems or, get the workplace. And so,
Yeah.
um, again, it's the focus that energy in.
No, yeah, no, I agree. And I was just thinking of like, but being aware of those external factors and not allowing that to, you know, be your compass, but allowing something that's coming from within in order to do so. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think there's reward in fitting these roles and being these people to others, or being who you think you should be, because I think then there's this reinforcement that says like if you do all these things, yeah, people are probably more pleasant to you or more accepting because it seems familiar and you're kind of really sticking in the box that they've placed you in. But I remember there being a shift in my life where I was like, what if I stopped saying and doing what I thought everyone wanted me to do, and I really just said and like I spoke from my heart and I really said what I felt in the truest form, and like how will that be perceived? And that was a huge fear of mine of like, well, are they going to still like me? Or because I'm empathic, so I can kind of like shift and mold like when I'm like talking and interacting with someone, of like being, I can like kind of see like they responded positively to this, they responded negatively to that, and like kind of be aware of it. And then I finally had to let that go. I was like, it doesn't matter, like, because it doesn't matter if they're going to respond negative or positive. What matters is that you're you. And if they
Mhm.
respond negatively, then they're not meant to be in your life. If they respond positively and they see you for who you really are and they like that person, then those are your people, you know? And I, that was within the workplace. That was when I started teaching yoga and like really burying my soul in front of students and like being able to guide them in this very vulnerable state. And I was thankful to have teachers and people around me that reinforced that. And that also I really did find the people that I most authentically connected with, and then that was far more valuable than being liked and like people pleasing for the masses, if you will.
Well, what is an example, Farah, of a time where you actively made that decision to like, what if I just am myself in this moment, you know?
Oh, well, I try to do that every day now. Nowadays, it's the commonplace. This past year, I really stripped away all of the like masks that I was wearing, and kind of these kind of roles, but also like who I thought I needed to be in order to be liked, and by my husband, by my family, by my clients, by my coworkers, everything, and I finally was like, you know what? I can't be everything to everyone, and so all I can be is really myself. And so who is that? One, I had to figure out who that was and like really own that. And thankfully I've done enough self-study and like am curious about that and am interested and also have the resources and community around me to help support that, investigation. But then to really then put it into action and like really own that person everywhere that I was, especially when you're in sales, like you do to a certain extent, like I have to get people to know, like, and trust me, straight off the
Yeah.
bat to be able to work with them. And so, but I recognize that, yeah, I can like, yeah, I could talk to anyone. So it's like, I can have good conversation. I can like, find out what their interests are, learn more about them. But also a huge piece of this is like trust, I think is only established when you're genuine. And like, if you're genuine, then people are going to see that and that's going to speak volumes versus like you having all of the right answers,
Yeah.
And so I really just allowed myself to be, like letting my light be really seen by people, and then got more positive reinforcement in that way, more than anything. But so I'm thinking just most recently, but I think before I was really able to speak to that or even understand that. When I was younger, I did not know who I was. I really didn't. But I like kind of knew how to like fake it till you make it to a certain extent. So like I knew
Yeah.
how to like present in a way that was acceptable. And so I think, I got a lot of pressure from my mom. My mom used to always tell me I should be a delicate flower. You are a delicate flower. Shout out Joanne. She's awesome. I love my mom more than anything else in life. But she definitely used to tell me this when I was a kid. And I was like, okay, I need it. So I was always like the kid. Like I don't know what you perceive of me now, but I was always that kid that was like wrestling with the boys. Like I was always kind of a tomboy, but I wasn't. Like I didn't look like a tomboy, but internally I was very tomboyish. And so I would like be like want to hang out with them, or then I would like end up like going on one of my friends like longboards down like this crazy steep hill, and I was like, yeah, let's do it, and so I was always like that girl. And my mom was like, you stop, like you're not supposed to be doing these things, like you're a delicate flower, you're supposed to be pretty, like you're supposed to be like fit this like thing. And I was like, I'm not, I'm a rock. That's what I told her. I was like, I'm not a flower. I'm in the ground. I'm in the dirt, and I'm like a hard rock. And like that's how I like saw myself. I've got poor mom. Yeah, and now that I'm a mom, I'm like, who knows how I'm gonna have these conversations with my daughter. But like, I saw her intent for what she was trying to get across, and I'm just like the total opposite. Like, no, I don't want to be that. So I think that there was a long time where, and even when I was in junior high, like, I've shared this with you before, and it's like, I was very nerdy. I was very like quiet. I was like a wallflower. I didn't know like middle school, like and then I hit puberty and I went into junior high, and everyone literally thought that I came from a different school. They're like, where did you transfer from? And I was like, I did not transfer from anywhere. I've known you since the third grade, and I just now have boobs. So the things have changed a little bit this past summer. Growth spurt, thanks. And so, but then I kind of almost had this idea that to be a pretty girl, I needed to be dumb. I know, it's not so sad. Sorry, I just said that and I felt like gross saying it out loud. But that I
Oh,
like,
so true. So true. So be real, be yourself.
yeah, like that I needed to be like, I needed to laugh at the guy's jokes, that I needed to kind of be this like charming, like cutesy girl, and to be beautiful, you know, and maybe that flower, you know, as much as I try to push it away, that kind of expectation definitely like kind of that standard kind of maybe even infiltrated a little bit and did affect kind of how I thought I needed to be liked, you know, and I didn't know how to be liked by boys. Like I was so like, this was like, no guy ever even looked at me like that before that. So I was like, I don't even know what to do and who to be. And then I think then I turned to alcohol and like kind of going out because I just, that was like a way to, in social situations, how to mask my anxiety and fear of like, well, are they going to like me? Are they going to know me? And then it was, it was an ongoing battle, I think, for most of my high school experience. Always appeared to be very confident, but then internally was just really lost. And I just really didn't know. And like I just knew what it was like to be liked. And I was like, if I want to be popular, if I want, you know, the cool kids to like me, I know I just need to be this because this is what I see other people doing. And I shifted myself into that, and I think I owned, you know, as I got older and more confident in who I was able to like stand up for myself. And then I realized confidence, I was like, really the most attractive quality you can have is be confident in who you were or who you are. And once I was able to tap into that, it kind of shifted my perspective. And the people that I found most attractive, I was like, they were kind of off and like they were a little weird. God, you should, the first guy that I like dated in high school, I won't even say his name on this. You know who you are out there. He was so weird. He was like, he's known for being like very out there, and he's like fucking hilarious. Though one of the funniest people I ever meet in your entire life, and is so fun. Like, such a fucking good time. Anyways, still love the guy. So till I die. But he, but he, I think taught me. He was like, no, just like own you, you know. And he used to always talk about that, and was, you know, always was kind of that like doing the most outlandish shit. And so I think from there I was like, no, I just want to like be who I am, and like that's what people respond well to. And so it's been an evolution. And once I feel like I'm rambling, so I'm gonna switch this over to you. But once I went through yoga teacher training, I think there was really a moment where I like had to unravel all of those expectations, all these preconceived notions of who I needed to be, of this programming of like my childhood and my social circles and all of these things that built up until then. And you know, race played a huge part of it. Being mixed was always like, I always kind of felt like an outsider for being mixed, and like I wasn't black enough, but I wasn't Asian enough, and I wasn't white enough. Like I never really fit into any category when it came to race. So then that also made me feel very like, you know, separate from everyone else. And then I was like, well, then who do I fit in with, and who do I try to dress like or be like, you know? And that was, and so like within the last year, you know, really tapping into my soul, you know. And once you're in your 30s, it's like, I don't give a damn, you know, I'm gonna be me. And like even having to let go, you know, just being a mom and what it's like to be a mom, and like how do I present as a mother. And it's like, no, I'm just gonna be Farah, and like I am a mom, that is a part of my identity, but I can just be my version of that, you know. And if I want to wear a short skirt one day, then I'm going to wear a short skirt. But I wouldn't even wear like revealing clothing. When I was like, no, like I'm a mom now, I can't dress that way, you know. But like in my mind I was like, there's this like, I need to be more refined or like more proper in a way. And so it's like you said, it's a journey, and I think it's constantly going on, and it's constantly shifting and changing. And just being open to who I am becoming has been, I think, a beautiful part of it, and giving myself grace along the way.
That's awesome. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, like, I'm curious for you, like, was there were there peaks and valleys in your journey, and like, do you feel like you're still on it, and how has it gone so far?
Yeah, I think definitely still on it every single day. One thing that came to mind when you were sharing was how I felt about high school. And it's so cute that you're like, oh, I'm a rock or I'm a flower, and trying to relate. My like thing I wanted to be was Daria. Do you remember that show on
Oh, I
MTV?
love Daria. Yes.
You're just so mean and like hard and sarcastic and alternative, right? And like
Yes.
confuse the popular kids.
Yeah. I just saw a meme with her in it. It was so funny. It was like when you want to be alone with your feelings, or like a Taurus. It was actually just like Earth signs and their feelings, and that's like if I'm alone, then all of this will disappear. And I was like, I feel that so much because I do just want to be alone when I'm in my feelings. I just keep going.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for the I'm a Taurus. So yes, exactly. Exactly. And like, so I think I was so scared of myself that that's what I really gravitated towards. Like I was so uncomfortable in my own skin that I was like, okay, well, if I'm just hard on the outside and um more if I play offense,
Yeah.
then no need to play defense, right? Like, and what's so funny about that is like I was so busy being hard and like mean and um off-putting back then. And now, like I love love, right? My favorite color is pink. I'm wearing a t-shirt that says "Be kind" with a heart on it. Like, that's who I am. Like, I just lead with love and want to be out, in the universe, just like seeing the best in everybody. And, you know, um, it's interesting just to look back and I'm like, oh, I want to hug that little girl so bad and be like, just be you. And it's okay to be kind. But kindness very much felt, you know, like a weakness. And especially when you're not comfortable in your own skin,
Hmm.
it's like, I don't want to let anyone in my like 6 feet bubble, like just stay out because I don't even want to be in here. And, that's really, it's an awful place to be and it's an awful thing to feel, but it's you got to give yourself grace for what you went through and who you used to be and know that it builds up who you are today. And so, a large part of that feeling has honestly really driven my professional life as well. And so, I have done 10 years in human resources, and my favorite part of the job was coaching other coworkers and coaching leaders to find their authentic voice and get rid of the fake it till you make it culture that's in the workplace and like help them realize like, is this even the place I should be? And how are they just like changing their personalities to fit into a workplace that wasn't even making them happy? And it's a weird thing to take pride in, but my favorite thing to do is convince people to quit their jobs and just like to recognize like, hey, I'm hurting every single day. I'm here, I'm doing work I don't love, and I'm stressed out, and my personal relationships are suffering, and my health is suffering, and my mental capacity is suffering. And finally helping them realize like you need to walk away from this job in order to find the work you love. And so, that really, I finally took my own advice as well and leaned into becoming a career coach. And I love that because I think there's so much pressure to not be your authentic self, to code switch, to do anything just to fit in and make it work because, we feel, our jobs, right, define our worth sometimes. So, it's definitely taking a step out of my own, desire to meet corporate expectations of success to actually have true connections with people, meet them eye to eye of like, is this really the best place for you? And, it's something that I take a lot of pride in is helping people not be corporate drones and not being one any longer myself. So, it's really, I try to give myself a break and like make up for um, spending too much time not being authentic by then helping others find that authentic footing as well. And, it really drives, how I want to live my life now.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's been a defense mechanism for you to be this hard exterior, this shell that's protecting you from people seeing the true, kind, thoughtful person that you are, because that was safer to a certain extent. And now to be able to like, now that you're on the other side of it, to be able to help other people, especially in the workplace environment, within your roles within HR, it's like, how do I help other people really find a career path that speaks to their soul, that is authentic, that's true, that helps light them up instead of drain
Yeah.
them? And that's, there's a lot of people out there that just like expect that that's what their jobs are going to be, that they can just clock in and out. But it's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way.
Living for the weekend, right?
Yeah.
oh, oh, it hurts my heart anytime I hear that.
No. Well, you're like, or you could like, there's that one song, I think it's like by Dirty Heads, and it's like a reggae song, and it's like, Um, every day, my life's a vacation because I love what I do. So every day is a vacation. And like that's
Mhm.
pretty much the basis of the entire song. And it just makes me laugh because I think that there is this, and I think the culture is shifting though. I think like the younger generation is kind of like, I don't want to just like go sit in an office and work every day. Like, I really want to do something that like fuels me and that I'm giving back and I'm making a difference. And that's what's most important instead of a paycheck and freedom. I think that's what now people are kind of leaning into. And it's kind of, it's incredible to watch because that just was not the case, especially for our parents. I think that it's taken generations for that to really transition into being like, yeah, do what makes you happy. Because I think for most people, when they think of work, that's not the first thing that comes to mind. It's like, how much money do you make and can it provide a lifestyle for you? And we could have that, but like, what is the lifestyle if you hate your life every day?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's awful. Oh. Well, Farah, I got a good question for you. I think it's a good question for you. And I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Do it.
So this comes from, I love to ask my friends and family, and it's a great like second, third date question.
Oh,
Uh,
keep that, nuzzle this in the
yeah,
back of my mind
put
for
that in there. Put that in there because it shows a little bit of,
it's the third date, but we'll see. We'll see. Sorry. I'm working on that too. That different episode, different episode.
well, you know that I love a fun fact. I love to ask like icebreaker questions, so what are
Mhm.
the top 5 favorite things that you love about yourself?
Oh, you
Yeah.
know, I've written this down. I do this as a yearly practice.
Okay.
New Year's Eve, it's like, what do I like about myself? What's the accomplishments that
Yeah.
I've like completed over this past year?
Yeah.
Just to give, you gotta give yourself a pat on the back every once in a while.
Mhm.
I would say number one, I like, let me figure out, like, I won't put this in a certain order because that'll be too difficult for me to like rank them. But I would say I like my ability to see the light in other people. Like, I do think
Mhm.
I really come into conversations and relationships with this true desire to see the person in their brightest state. And like who they really are meant to be. Like, I can see people's potential really quickly, and kind of that brightness that resides within, like, the really who they are. Their soul. I do think I can see people. I can see into their soul. I think sometimes I
Stop
can.
looking at me.
And it's interesting to see people that are comfortable with it and that aren't comfortable, and like also just like letting that lead the conversations when I speak to people. Like, what are you aspiring towards versus like what's holding you back, and we have to talk about both. But I think that that's like where I like to lead. So I think that's one good thing. Could also be a downfall of mine because then I tend to only focus on the good in people, and then I am blinding myself to like maybe what are some areas of growth. Um, you know, so it's been, that's been a journey for me. So there's this light and darkness in all of
Yeah.
these qualities, right? And so I'd say that is number one. I'd say my ability to go with the flow and like really enjoy life. Like, I'm very much like, especially this past year, I'm like riding high on just like having a good time. Like, I love to have fun. I love to laugh. I love to like not, like, I'm really good at being present, and so like whatever I'm doing, I'm like fully in that. And like, I was just in Mexico with some friends and just had such like a very wholesome, like enjoyable time of like laughing and just like what are we gonna do today, like having an event, like making the best of any scenario, and like just like really trying to like find a little like what's like funny about this. Like, we were like anyways, like we went to like a luminescence tour where you see like the flicks of like light in the water. And we couldn't see anything. We were like, what did we sign up for? Anyways, and so like it would be very easy for us to be like pissed and be like, this sucks, like this sucks, let's go back. And like but then we were like like then we just made like a game of it, and like we're just like laughing and like digging in the sand, like throwing sand at each other, and like just like having fun because I just think you can choose, you always can choose the perspective that you want to view a situation as, and I think I tend to see the lightheartedness in situations versus like the Debbie Downer. I'm not much of a Debbie Downer, and I would say that third quality, I'm really optimistic. I really like to see like the good in scenarios and like in people, but then also like in my own life and like what I'm attracting and creating. I think that that's really it's key in order to create a life that I love. I would say I'm very curious. It's like I'm talking about trait. I guess so that's you know I like how curious I am. I like that I am open. I like to learn, that I'm always growing. Like I think that that's a very valuable trait like in life, but also to be able to experience life from that perspective. I think it creates more of like you know growth mindset in general, but then also like when I go into like new cultures or travel and all these things, that's like what I'm going for, is like what is this and how can I learn from it. And then my fifth thing that I love about myself is, I'm really kind-hearted. Like I think I'm really compassionate. Like I really love like very like almost without conditions. Like you don't have to be someone in order to earn my like love or like kindness. I think that I
Mhm.
just naturally give it. Again, there's light and darkness in all of these qualities, but I try to see it as a strength versus a weakness, because I think it's good to remind people that you don't have to do anything for me to be nice to you or to smile. I always smile at people walking down the street and make eye contact, and like no expectation of anything back. But it's like sometimes you just need a smile, and like I used to keep tallies of how people responded to me, because I'm like the researcher in the back of my mind, the psychology, like study that I'm like hosting in my mind, and I would it was so interesting. So it was always people either would smile back and they'd be like pleasantly surprised. They're like, "Oh hey, nice to
Mhm.
see you," Where people would be like, "Nice smile." I'm like, "You too," and that would be that. The person that would be weirded out, they'd be like, "Why are you looking at me like this?" Like I always would laugh afterwards. Like, I'm smiling at you, dumb dumb. Like I'm not even trying to be rude. Like I'm just smiling.
Yeah.
I always would laugh those, and I had to own my that for myself, because they could make me feel awkward. Then I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just smiling. Like you take that however you want to. You perceive this.
Yeah.
And or the people that would be completely oblivious wouldn't even notice me, like just would walk right past me because they're in their own heads, and I was like, they're thinking about something, they're totally distracted, and they're like in another zone. So I would say that is I don't even know why I described this, but that is probably like one thing that I like to spread love. Like I really do. I think one of the reasons we're all here is to spread love and kindness and remind each other of that the whole the wholeness of, what am I thinking of? The pure essence of who we really are, and tapping back into that. What's
Yeah.
your five favorite things about you, Laura?
Oh, well, I love this question. Like it just because we get so used to talking about what we don't like about ourselves.
Mm.
And,
Hmm.
I love that you journal about it too, because I think it helps then anchor again those value traits of like how do I tap back into who I am and the things that I love about myself, right? So
Hmm.
um mine. Empathy. You mentioned that earlier too. Yeah. Empathy is a big one. So I'm an empath and I love that about myself. It's been something that I numbed for many, many, many years. Was confused about, really like overwhelmed about. But now it's something that, it's a superpower. You step into a room and it's like, I got this. I know exactly where we're at and what's going on here.
Yep.
And it's definitely a strength as well as something to continue to work through. There's definitely been some times where it's like, I don't understand why I'm feeling this way. I feel like
Yeah.
it's influenced somehow, and I'm like,
Why
I'm kind of
is there
confused.
someone else in the room? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, or like, oh my gosh, in romantic relationships where it's like, like I'm gonna get broken up with in about 5 hours. That's a weird thing. Why do I think that that's gonna happen? Then it happens, and I'm like, well, I picked that vibe up from somewhere, but I want to get better at recognizing sooner.
I know, it's like, well, and like also seeing like the signs leading up to it, to be like, why is this happening? And like, having the conversations, because it's hard to know, like it's hard to pinpoint those
Yeah.
moments, because like it's so elusive that you're like, where is
Yeah.
it coming from, what's the cause of it, and like,
Yeah.
and that's like hard not to overanalyze it and like go down the rabbit hole of like
Yeah.
what is going, anyways. Yes, been
Like,
there.
yeah, continue to like try to calibrate that superpower, but I love it that it exists.
Yeah, for sure.
um Ability to love. I know that kind of sounds weird, but like, man, the world breaks your heart and you got to dust that heart off and get back up again. And I do. I got a resilient heart and I love love. So, um, I feel really, good about that. And so, sense of humor,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You are hilarious.
that is my love language. Tell me I'm funny. Don't tell me I'm pretty, but tell me I'm funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
Loyalty. I am a Taurus, so we're pretty dang loyal. But I think that that's something that's admirable. And then intellect. I love the way my brain works. I love that I'm intelligent and curious, and I think again back to the Daria mentality. It used to be a lonely place, but now it's a playground, and I love my intellect. So I think it's interesting to try to tap into again the things you love about yourself, and days where you're, I think, overwhelmed by external pressures, and it's so easy to feel like it's shame or driven to hate yourself, or want to continuously improve yourself. But take the time to do a practice of writing down the things you love and remind yourself and be excited and proud of the way you show up for yourself.
Absolutely. It's so important because, like you said, like it's really easy to pay attention to things we don't like, areas that we want to grow within, or
Mhm.
traits that we're ashamed of, and then to be able to like redirect our attention towards like, hey, I'm pretty freaking awesome. And like, these are the reasons why. And like, kind of letting that be like, give you a little gusto for the rest of the day to be like, I'm amazing. And like, these are the, like, and I like show up in the world in this way and my only, the way that I can, and this is the value that I can, contribute to the world around me and the relationships I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And like I was speaking to kind of the shadow side of things as well, because I do think that for a long time, like, thinking about what I liked about myself was like not like, that became more normalized. I think to a certain extent the self-love movement is definitely out there, but I do think it's so important to see the shadow and also to recognize and love that for what it is too. And that means like I love all of who I am, not just the traits that are seen in a positive light, but that I'm also like, that I'm a little sassy and I got a little spunk there to like, sometimes a gut punch. So I got to be careful with that. But like, I recognize that I am that, but that I can own that power that's within me and see that also as something that gives me, the gusto or the confidence to be able to, go into negotiations with, powerful men and not feel intimidated by them, knowing that I can like stand in my own self and to be able to like have those conversations and to be respected. And before recognizing that kind of that yin and yang, I don't think that I really understood it, and it was difficult for me to really step into that role before recognizing some of these other traits that maybe in my mind I perceived as negative, but in actuality they create the whole of who I am. Would you say there's been shadow exploration for you throughout this journey of like kind of accepting all of who you are?
Yeah, well, I mean, the second you say shadow, I think about loyalty again. Like, I love that I'm a loyal person, but I definitely have hurt myself significantly by being loyal, like holding on to that runaway train as it, drags you across the tracks. And, I think, the word that comes to mind is the dark side of resiliency. Like, oh, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it, and finding pride and worthiness in that commitment.
Yeah.
When that commitment is not right,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to understand, is this doing more damage to who I am? by being overly committed and loyal to causes not serving you.
Yeah. Like, would letting go actually be stronger than trying to hold on?
Yes.
No, or more difficult? Because I think sometimes we think like, no, if we just stick it out, that's like we're giving up otherwise. And so it's like, but no, is there more strength? Is there more, self under like inquiry and in the pursuit of letting go?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I've gone through and I don't know where. Honestly, I think it's from Brené Brown. Of course, half the things I do are from Brené Brown. But
Yeah.
uh, Daring Greatly, greatest book. If you haven't read the book, you got to read the book. It is like literally a instructional manual on how to like really live life to the fullest. And I remember it was like write a list of the things that you feel like are negative traits and like or that you don't like about yourself, and then write all the things you do like about yourself and like have them right next to each other, and then find the correlations between the two and how like it can be the shadow and light of each side of you, and like is there a way for you to like kind of look at this compilation of like attributes and really like see the value in all of it. And
Mhm.
I did that one. I like last summer. I remember sitting down and doing all of that, and I was like, it was an exercise because then I had to write down the traits I didn't like about myself, and like see those, and
Yeah.
then like a visceral reaction to them, and like I had to and like really stand in that and embody the fact that I was all of that and that was okay, and that actually that made me who I am and that I like that person, and some other like I'm a little impatient. That's one thing. I like to take action. I'm very action oriented and I get shit done. That's for darn sure, But I can be a little impatient sometimes too. And it's like recognizing that there's strength in both, but then like also where's areas where I could grow and become like, like I accept that as a part of me because I see the value in it, but then also like where's an area of growth and like what instead of me like just harping on the fact that I don't like this about myself, how can I actually like evolve a little bit and to become like the best version of who I am and like being honest with myself about what those traits were too, you know? And I'm like, I'm late often. I'm going to be honest about that. Laura knows, sorry. She sat at coffee shops and waited for me. I put too much in, I crammed too much in my schedule, and then I'm behind. And trust me, I've gotten shit for this my whole life. My whole family's always late. This is not just a me thing. This is like ingrained in who I am and my upbringing. But I'm working on it because I recognize like I want people to know I value and respect their time, and then you think of like it's a cultural thing, like it's, who knows how this will be perceived, but some people call it brown people time, and it's like anyone that's like of color, they're just always late, and it's like that's just a part of it. Like never expect a party to start on time. And this is like I'm just saying with them, like my friend group and family group, we're 3 hours late. It's not just like an hour. Like it's not 50. I'm 15 minutes late. That's why I think I'm fine. Like it's like 3 hours later someone rolls in, and like that's how it goes, and like no one even thinks twice about it. And so I think it's like a cultural difference anyways. So trust me, I've thought about this in depth about myself. I'm like, do I just own that I'm still late all the time, or do I actually try to change this quality about myself? But
I love that you said that, Farah, because I'm gonna 100%, we're being authentic here. So it drives me crazy that you are late. Except that I love you and I'm accepting you. And so for you and just really feel blessed by your presence when I get it. So
oh,
it's challenging me. Am I ridiculous? Like I'm 15 early all the time. To just be like, okay, well, we're gonna see each other when she gets here and it's gonna be glorious. And in the meantime, what am I gonna do to serve myself in the time where I am waiting? And you know what? It's so much better. The last few times I've seen you, I'm like, I'm not gonna be stressed out. She's gonna show up when she's gonna show up, and it's gonna be a beautiful time. And so in the meantime, I'm gonna do, I'm gonna read or I'm gonna work on this, and it's just gonna be what it is. And I'm gonna take this pause and do some me time while I am waiting for you. So it actually has pushed me to be a little better too.
thank you. I am so grateful that you have shared this with me because I always wonder what people think on the other side, and I'm like, they're probably so like every time I'm like, people that know me, like my close friends, there's like they don't even think twice about it. They're like, oh, she's like 15 minutes late. Yeah, that's typical. And so like like and then some are like, will you get it together? You know, like, they're like, can you just get here? I'm like, I am trying. Like I don't know why there's something in my brain that just like always like I don't know. I don't know how I do it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm late half the time. I'm like, I have no excuse. I have no excuse why I'm even like behind schedule. This morning, why I have a coffee in my hand and I like here, it's because I was late. Laura, I was late. You guys, I was late this morning and starting this podcast. So it's one of those things that do I say I try to be better about it? I try to plan ahead. I try to be early now. So if I try to be early, then I'm actually just on time. And that's been my like workaround. But in actual, because everything takes longer than I expect it to. And I'm like, oh, I thought this was going to be like 2 minutes. And this turned into a 20. And I just
Yeah.
didn't. But coming back around instead of me like rationalizing why I'm late all the time, is that if owning who you are and like being all of that and like and then having the people around you, God willing, that accept you for who you are and like embrace that parts all of the parts of you is what I think really true connection and real love comes down to, because then you see people for who they are, you accept it, and you um, love them no matter what. And I think that that's when we find the people around us that are able to do that. I think then that really truly makes the difference. But before we're able to find those people, I think really like being that version of yourself is like what you have to do first in order to attract and to really create that circle that surrounds you.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that we have found each other and accept each other.
Thank you, Laura, for seeing me and not being pissed when I show up 15 minutes late.
No. Okay, Farah, let's take this bad boy home. So what love song are you vibing for yourself today?
Outstanding by the Gap Band. Outstanding. Girl, you lift me up. It's like an old funk song. It's very much a classic, and I've been singing it and dancing in my car. That's how I pick these songs. It's like what makes me move the most.
Nice.
And that's been my song this week. What was yours this week, Laura?
Okay, mine is Maps by
Mm-hmm.
Yeah Yeah Yes. Oh, it's just, it's popped up. That algorithm's got me. So it's popping up left and right lately. And it just, I'm vibing it. I'm gonna archive that bad boy.
What stood out for you? What really kind of made it this week?
You you know what? It kind of broke through. I did a lot of data work this week and, headphones in and, just really yeah. I don't know. I love maps. First of all, it's not really about maps, but just good beat this week. It just kind of like broke through the monotony of what I was working on, and it kind of kept showing up. It's like the universe wanted me to hear it. So yeah.
I love it. Trusting in the universe
Yeah.
works in mysterious ways. I get it. Well, thank you for chatting with me today and just being the incredible human being that you are. And thank all of you guys for joining us and talking about this. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on authenticity and how it shows up for you and what it really means to embody and love all of who you are, the light and the darkness.
Yes. Yes. Love that, Farah. Thank you so much today.
Yes, of course. We'll see you next time, everybody. Next Wild Women Wednesday.